Switch 2 prices are increasing, and that's a good thing? Well, at least it could be a lot worse. Let's find out more on this episode of Switch Center.
Welcome to Switch Center, your weekly center for everything Nintendo Switch. My name is Quinn.
My name is Burge.
Let's get into the topic.
Nintendo is increasing the prices of Switch 2s from $450 to $500, which is unfortunate. You know, we're not going to go into the very specific reasons why, but this is kind of a hard time for a lot of people monetarily, economically, and so this is very unfortunate. A lot of people aren't going to be able to afford a $500 console right now when they're struggling to pay for rent and groceries, and we don't want to make light of that. That being said, other consoles are also going through similar things. PlayStation, Xbox, they are increasing their prices as well. But I think the best example to compare it with is the Steam Deck, as it's kind of a similar product, sort of a portable gaming system. So if we look at how the Steam Deck is increasing their prices, for their 512 gigabyte model, they're going from $549 to $789.
That's a jump.
And for their 1 terabyte, $649 to $949. So
much more than a $50 jump.
For their lower end, that's a $200 increase, and for their higher end, it's a $300 increase.
Dang.
So, things are looking bleak over here for us gamers.
Oh, gamers. You know, I think it's interesting.
Gamers
I was
rise
hearing
up.
from some other content creators. Shout out Wolfden. He's always talked about the Steam Deck being a really good deal, but now, like, these prices are coming back up. It's harder to have one clear answer that you can recommend. But with the Switch 2 getting so many more games and third-party exclusives, it's looking like a good option even with the increase.
Yeah, just to really lightly touch on some of the reasons why all of these consoles are increasing. If you guys have heard of a little thing called AI, it's kind of the companies that are spearheading the AI push are hogging a lot of the RAM that's used in computers and consoles and electronics of all kinds. And so there is a pretty big RAM shortage right now. All of it's being bought up.
It's interesting because from what we've seen, Switch 2s cost around $400 to manufacture. So back when they were being sold at $450, you know, they're making their little profit, but there's a lot of factors that go in there. They're really pushing to try and make this console successful. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense with things increasing in price that they're going to also need to increase their price. At the same time, like, you want to make it sellable. You want to make people want to get a Switch 2. Yeah. And that's what we see with a lot of these games coming up. Hopefully, the Switch 2 is seen as a good competitive option that keeps it being profitable and sold for Nintendo.
Yeah, it seems like they're selling it as low as they possibly can without operating at a loss. Mm-hmm. So they're still getting a little bit of profit in there. It's also nice, it seems like, to combat this issue and still garner some goodwill, they're lowering their game prices, which a lot of people, that was honestly what it seems like people complained about the most, their massive $80 games.
So now it's going to shift. We were talking about high game prices, now we're going to talk about high console prices.
High console prices, cheap games.
But look, if that is the argument, you know, Nintendo's doing pretty good, not having it increase as much as people like Steam, but at the same time, Steam is doing great with game prices. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out.
I also think it was kind of a nice option for them to announce that they are going to increase the price. So if you've been on the fence about buying a console, you still have time to get the lower priced option. So not just one day, they're $50 more expensive when you've been saving up your piggy bank for it. We are not corporate shills. Nintendo makes stupid choices all the time, and they annoy us constantly. But when it comes to these prices, even if they're not for everyone, I do think that they're at least reasonable for a publicly traded company. If we're trying to completely upend the way that we trade commerce and goods, then we can have a different conversation.
And honestly, that conversation's probably not with us. We don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But, hey,
all
this is
anarchists, comment below.
Yeah. Add your thoughts.
Add your grandma to the chat.
Add your grandma to the chat?
Yeah.
Is your grandma an anarchist?
Is your grandma an anarchist?
Comment down below.
Comment down below if she hit the bell and hyped the video.
Yeah. Subscribe, maybe.
What sort of ways has she stuck it to the system? What sort of ways has she rebelled against society? We're really curious. Legitimately, I'm not even being sarcastic anymore.
Does your grandma
If your
have a
grandma
Switch too?
is an anarchist, I would be curious to hear about it.
That would actually be like the greatest comment. ever.
Yeah, like
Don't lie.
story time.
Be honest.
If you comment about your anarchist grandma, we will feature